Hello everybody, Pixel Prince here, and welcome to yet another unboxing video. Unfortunately, due to audio issues, this video will be set up a bit differently from my last video, but I will do my best to be as informative and detailed as possible. Anyway, today we're diving into the Dragon Quest VII Reimagined Collector's Edition, and while I've been anticipating picking the game back up since I played through the demo and wrote a review on it, I'd kind of be lying if this Collector's Edition wasn't a bit of a disappointment. And my two biggest reasons for saying that, prior to the unboxing of course, are because of the price and the way the shipping is handled. This edition of Dragon Quest VII is a Square Enix store exclusive and has an MSRP of $249.99. Yeah, $250 for only a few items, that of which we'll get into in a second, but keep in mind this is before tax and shipping are included. Speaking of shipping, after that and the tax are factored in, this collector's edition wound up having a final price tag of $299.58, almost $300 for this collector's edition. This isn't uncommon with Square Enix and their collector's editions, but for what they offer, it seems a lot less than what they're actually worth. And the worst part was, I didn't get it until 6 days after the game was released, and the amount I spent on shipping was the cheapest option at $32, with the highest making it almost $100 more expensive. In fact, if it wasn't for gift cards I received during the holidays, this video wouldn't even be a thing. But we have it here, so let's dive in and talk about the game. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is a from-the-ground remake of the original PS1 game Dragon Quest VII, or as we know it here in the States, Dragon Warrior 7. This game was released in Japan in 2000 and was released in North America in 2001. It was developed by Heartbeat and was published by Enix, not to be confused with Square Enix, as this was the company's name before they merged with Squaresoft in the early 2000s. Anyway, this was the first version of the game that I owned and played. I'll be honest, it's a little rough around the edges. The opening can take 4 to 6 hours to get through to your first battle, especially if you're unsure where to go. Battles are painfully slow, and despite my love for pixel art, this game isn't the prettiest when it comes to that 2D, 3D mixing. Either way, it was a beloved entry to the long-running series, and according to the back of the English case, is the best-selling Japanese PlayStation game console title of all time, which is really just kind of like a lot of words to say best-selling Japanese PlayStation game, but anyway. Fast forward a few years to 2013 for Japan and 2016 for North America, and Square Enix remakes the game from the ground up for the 3DS console. This version, known as Dragon Quest VII Fragments of a Forgotten Past, features a ton of quality of life changes, and as a portable console game, made the adventure much easier to pick up and put down. This was the version I spent the most time with personally, and as a side note, there was a port of this version to mobile phones, yet it remained a Japan exclusive, and honestly, being only playable in portrait mode with the unlikelihood of controller support, I'm not really too upset about missing out on this one. And now, 25 years after the original game was released in North America, we now have Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, and with it, a new way for longtime fans and newcomers alike to enjoy this beloved entry on modern hardware. So first thing of note, and in the spirit of that's what she said, this is a bit bigger than I thought it was going to be. Now I wouldn't say it's $300 worth of bigger, but it certainly makes that charge hurt a little less. That was until I opened the box and realized that unlike most collector's editions that I own, this one isn't even in a collector's box, but was instead a large box with individual items packed in. And I gotta be honest y'all, this was a huge freaking letdown, especially considered how most of my collection from Square Enix all have collector's boxes, and that includes Dragon Quest Heroes. Either way, this edition comes with a standard copy of the game, with the deluxe content being sent in the form of a code via email. A silver steelbook featuring creatures from the game, primarily slimes, with the splash art of the game on the inside cover. Now I'm not the biggest steelbook guy, and I'm even less of one when there's no box to stick it in. Thankfully I had one more spot in my steelbook case box, so I digress. This also comes with a Dragon Quest VII Reimagined slime plush, and of course the main piece of this whole edition, a ship in the bottle featuring the 3 main characters and several creatures in and around the water. Honestly, the quality on this is pretty top notch. You can make out little details on the face, the water looks incredible, and even comes with a display and a golden plaque with the name of the game. Unfortunately, it still feels like a bit of a ripoff, and the worst part was, this managed to sell out on their site. I'm also a bit miffed that some versions also came with a fragment and slime pin, and while it may not have filled the gap in price, it would have been nice to have something else to show for all of this. All in all, diving back into Dragon Quest VII Reimagined felt great, and I'm glad that they did more for this collector's edition than they did for the 2 HD 2D remakes combined, but after the lack of collector's box, subpar items, and its overly expensive price tag, and unless there's a few more gift cards lying around in my future, or Square just feels like sending me some unboxing copies for future releases, this might actually be my final Square Enix collector's edition. Even if you're a fan, I can't quite recommend this edition, and even if I did, you'd be out of luck considering they sold out and Square doesn't generally restock their store. In fact, their store's kind of gone downhill over the years. They no longer offer brand new copies of their older games from the consoles like PS1, PS2, PS3, or Xbox 360. Their point store has been down for years, and they changed their policy to require you to put down money immediately when pre-ordering something, which I like to believe is just to help cut down on scalpers. But speaking of those, if it being sold out doesn't deter you, just know that on eBay eBay, you'll most likely be spending almost $200 more than its original MSRP just to get it. And that's before shipping and tax are figured in. It's kind of sad to see, especially since I've always looked forward to these collector's editions and have some that come with way more for a fraction of the price. Hell, even my Dragon Quest Heroes Collector's Edition was only $99 when it came out back in 2015, and even after tax and shipping was only probably no more than $120 to $130. Either way, it fits in well with my growing Dragon Quest collection. I thankfully only used gift cards, and I'm still enjoying the game, so I like to think it all balances out. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you'd like to keep up with my Dragon Quest 7 and eventually my Resident Evil 9 progress live, feel free to check out my Twitch here. And if live streams aren't your thing, you can catch my VODs on my VOD channel here. Lastly, be on the lookout here for reviews for the Scott Pilgrim EX demo, the Mina the Hollower demo, and the server slam for Marathon. Well, possibly on that last one. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.